Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the December edition of US1 Poets Invite, and thank you for coming out on this cold winter's night to hear our wonderful poets. I'm Sue Roth. I'm the Reader Services Coordinator here at the library, and it's my pleasure tonight to be able to introduce one of the poets. Of course, Ellen Foose and Michael R. Brown are going to be reading tonight. I just wanted to say a word about the format. Ellen will read, we'll take a short break and come back to hear Michael Brown read, and then after that we'll open it up to the open reading. So if you would like to read at the open mic session, there's a sign-up sheet at the back table. Please sign up before the open reading time. And also I have a sign-up if you would like to receive email notices of library programs. So be sure to sign up for that too at the back table. And Michael Brown has several of his books for sale back there. So be sure to visit us during the break. Okay, now it's my pleasure to welcome Ellen Foose, who is production editor at Princeton University Press and an organizer of poetry slams and readings. She's a member of US1 Poets Cooperative and has published her poetry in US1 Worksheets, the Kelsey Review, Edison Literary Review, and Sensations Magazine. And she has done a fantastic job organizing the US1 Poets Invites. So we are delighted that she gets to read tonight. Janet would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Sue. I'm Janet from the Arts Council. I just wanted to make a little bit of a commercial or advertisement, but it does relate to Ellen. So, when I first met Ellen about 6 or 7 years ago, it was her idea to start doing poetry slams at the Arts Council. Not my idea, it was Ellen's idea, and she's been instrumental in doing them, and I'm pleased to say that not only was she helpful, but our first and great slam master, Michael Brown, is your second reader tonight. Yes, he is terrific. If you've never seen him at a poetry slam, Michael, will they ever have an opportunity to see you at a poetry slam? Sure. Okay. Anyway, one of the poets who used to perform, he doesn't so much anymore, but he used to be, was H. Alonzo Jennings, someone that Ellen knew, and he came to the slams. I don't know, Michael, you knew him too, I think. And we found out, and again, thanks to Ellen, I found out that he's also a photographer, and he has done a fantastic collection of photos he has taken of all the legendary jazz greats, black and white, in performance. He refuses to use a flash because he doesn't want to distract them, but I don't know quite what he does. At any rate, if you are interested, see, this is the bridge. If you are interested, on December 27th, which is not this coming Monday, but the next Monday, we are having at the Arts Council a gallery exhibit of Alonzo's photographs. He will talk about what he does. He will also recite his original poetry, accompanied by a flutist and a guitarist. Actually, they're the same man. And and after that, that's from 6 to 8. It's free. It's in our gallery. We're diagonally across the street. We hope you will come, and I have flyers in the back. Support Ellen's idea, and support Alonzo, and support this alternative gallery. And at 8 o'clock that night, we have the Jazz Squad performing some of these standards that were associated with these people in the photos. And they are a fantastic jazz combo. So I hope you'll come. Thank you very much, and let me now welcome Ellen.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming, and thanks, Janet and Sue, for the nice introduction. And as always, thanks to Mike and Julie for doing the camera work for the cable TV station. And of course, I'm really excited to be teamed up with Michael Brown, and I'll introduce him later.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm Farmer Green's crushed brown egg.
Breakfast poem and
The slippery jelly clings to the cracked shell as an egg is turned inside out. The morning has found its mooring, settling into an iron frying pan. A day's world chose olive oil when butter lost its glow. But chickens can't be jollied into heart-shaped yolks. Give us this day our daily bread in the form of toast that laps up the last smear of eggs over easy.
fresh brown eggs.
I found love
The
in a
slippery
roadside
jelly
diner
clings
where it
to
was
the cracked
breakfast
shell
served all
as an
day.
egg is turned inside out. The morning has found its morn, settling into an
And
iron
this
frying
one is
pan.
for a couple that I know. Their
Day's
names
world
are
chose
Wayne
olive
and
oil
Elaine,
when
and
butter
that's
lost its
I
glow.
filed the poem Wayne and Elaine.
But chickens can't be jolly
They're
when
willing
the
to
heart
walk
save yolk.
around the long way
Give us
together
this day our
rather
daily
than in
bread
separate
the form of
anxious states.
toast that laps up the last
Wayne
smear of
moderates
eggs over
powerful
easy.
cravings.
I
Trusting
found
Elaine
love
will
in a roadside
understand his
diner
limits.
where it was breakfast served
He
all
teaches
day.
difficult children. He's a psychologist. Both have seen deep into troubled
And
past
this one is
and recognize
for
their
a
own.
couple that I know. Their names are Wayne
The
and
uncoupled,
Elaine. And that's
unassuming,
titled the poem
unpretentious,
Wayne and
with a
Elaine.
calm assurance,
They're willing to
tempered
walk
by life's
around the long
unbalances,
way together,
ready to meet each
rather
other
than in
on
separate
neutral
anxious
ground,
states.
contained by each
Wayne
other's sturdy
moderates
affection.
powerful cravings.
They live
Trusting
a
Elaine will
small-town life,
understand his limits.
moving on a surface that's been
She
cleared
teaches difficult
like
children.
snow off a
He's a
frozen pond.
psychologist.
The whole world
Both have
merges to
seen
keep
deep
them
into
steady.
troubled paths and recognize their own.
And these next
The
two
uncoupled,
are ones that I
unassuming, unpretentious,
kind of confused
with a
about,
calm assurance,
Blackbeard and Bluebeard.
tempered by
So I
life's
wrote this one home.
unbalances, ready to meet each other on neutral ground,
This one's called Blackbeard the
contained by
Pirate.
each other's sturdy affection.
You blazed into port, red
They live a
jacket
small-town
and black
life,
boots, where
moving
all
on a
else was
surface
modest
that's been
gray.
cleared like
But a
snow
call
off
to
a
the high
frozen
seas,
pond.
swamps, any
The whole
hope for
world
return.
merges to keep them
A wife
steady.
can see fate waving. All she has left
And
is a
these next
dusty
two
map and a
are
few
ones that
doubloons.
I was kind of
Your
confused about.
children, brandished
Blackbeard
sticks,
and Bluebeard.
commanding scurvy foes to walk the plank. The tales they tell are trying to
called Blackbeard the
decode
Pirate.
that flapping noise
You
follows.
blazed into port, red jacket and black
And
boots.
this one's called
where all
Bluebeard
else
the
was
Baron.
modest gray.
The
But a
beard
call to
was
the
a
high
warning,
seas,
but also
swamps,
a
any
clever
hope of
disguise,
return. A
wicked
wife
and
could
wise
see fate
entwined.
waving. All
With
she has
caskets
left
of
is a
jewels, you
dusty
charmed
map
your new
and a few
bride into
doubloons.
woozy consent.
Your children, brandished
Still the
sticks,
first wives
commanding
hang grimly
scurvy
upon
foes
the
to
walls
walk
of a
the
locked
plank.
room.
The
For the
tales
latest,
they
the
tell are
lucky
trying to
saved in the
decode
11th hour
that
by a
flapping
wandering
noise
goat
we
herd.
follow.
There are doors better left
And this one's
unopened,
called Bluebeard
even
the
when
Baron.
fortune is knocking.
The beard was a warning, but also a clever disguise, wicked and wise.
one's called
entwined.
Dream.
With
A little
caskets of
hope,
jewels, you
a little
charmed your
impossible
bride into
casting,
woozy
and a dance
consent.
begins.
Still the
Happily, I
first
know the
wives
steps.
hang grimly upon the walls
Cruelly,
of a
the
locked
musicians
room.
disappear.
For the latest, the
A
lucky
long tunnel of
saved
travel,
in
and I
11th
find the
hour
party
by a
has
wandering
resumed
goat herd.
outdoors.
There are
I'll
doors
join in
better
again
left
if I can hide the
unopened,
blood-red
even when
stains,
fortune is
the ancient
knocking.
underwear. When I wake, relief and regret. Nothing real
This one's
destroyed,
called Dream.
nothing dreamlike attained.
A little hope, a little impossible casting, and a dance begins. Happily, I know the steps.
And this one's
Cruelly,
called
the
Drowned
musicians
Virgin.
disappear. A long tunnel of travel, and I find the party has resumed
They
outdoors.
lie at the bottom of the sea,
I'll join
water
in again
lilies
if I
that
can
sank
hide the
before they
blood-red
flowered,
stains, the ancient underwear.
anxious to please but
When
unable
I
to
wake,
deliver.
relief and
Too
regret.
proud, too afraid,
Nothing
too
real
quintessentially
destroyed.
pure.
Something dreamlike attained.
We're dredging them up now because they're back in demand. Boys who never got started. Girls who never went all the way.
It's called Drowned Virgin.
If we give them another chance, they'll happily drop their conceit, knowing how dim the
They lie
light
at the
is,
bottom of the
how
sea,
cold the sandy
water
bed
lilies that
down
sank
in the
before
lonely
they
channels
flowered.
of the Atlantic.
Anxious
How much
to
better to
please,
tread
but
the mucky
unable
earth.
to deliver. Too proud, too afraid, too quintessentially pure.
So
We're
the
dredging
next
them up
two are
now
elegies
because
that I
they're back in
wrote
demand.
to
Boys who never got
different
started.
people that died in the last
Girls
year or
who never
two.
went all
The
the
first
way.
one is Spalding Gray.
If we give them
He
another
died this
chance,
year,
they'll
and
happily
he,
drop their
if you
conceit.
don't know, his
Knowing how dim the
actor, sort
light
of
is,
downtown New York
how
actor,
cold
and
the sandy
performance
bed,
artist and
down in
monologuist.
the lonely
and,
channels of the Atlantic.
It's pretty sure
How much
thing that
better
he,
to tread the mucky
jumped
earth.
off the Staten Island ferry. Where the Ferry Took Me, for Spalding Gray, 1941
These
to
next two are
2004.
elegies that I wrote.
All this
to,
time, you've been
different
containing
people
the
that died
monster in the
last year or
box
two.
by
The first
talking
one
about
is
it.
Spalding Gray.
Now it's
Died
out,
this
and you're
year,
gone
and
with it.
he, if you don't know, his
You made everyone hear
actor,
about your
sort of
mother's
downtown New
suicide
York
so
actor
they'd
and
respect the
performance artist
monster.
and monologuist, and
Years ago, I joined
it's
you
pretty
on
sure
stage
thing that
telling
he,
the audience
you know,
about how
jumped
I
off
was a
the Staten
lifeguard.
Island ferry, so.
I'm bolder
Where
now,
the Ferry Took
confessing
You,
publicly to
For
love,
Spalding
anger,
Gray,
but not to
1941 to
death.
2004.
I've drawn the line, not in me to
All this
risk more
time,
than
you've been
minor
containing the
embarrassment.
monster in the box by talking
Your
about
wry
it.
smile and lift
Now
your
it's out,
eyebrows,
and
so
you're gone with
practiced
it.
and natural, makes
You
the
made
truth
everyone
easier
hear
to
about your
expose.
mother's suicide, so
How
they'd
can you show the
respect the
center unless
monster.
you think it's beautiful too?
Years ago, I joined you on stage
I want to
telling
live
the
to be
audience
80
about
like
how
my
I was a
mother.
lifeguard.
You followed your
I'm
mother
older
into the
now,
water.
confessing publicly to love and anger, but not to death. I've drawn the line, not in you to risk more than
This next one is for a minister that
your wry smile,
we knew.
and
We
lifted
worked with in
eyebrows
Nicaragua,
are
building
practiced
houses
and
for
natural,
people there.
makes the truth easier
It's called
to
Holy
expose.
Week in Nicaragua for
How can you
Father
show
Bill
the center
Daniel,
unless you think it's
1926 to
beautiful too?
2002.
I want to live
A
to be
year
80
ago, we were
like my
shoveling
mother.
sand from the
You
riverbank
followed your mother
into your
into the
Kia
water.
pickup truck. Dry season flowers were in bloom. Processions formed outside every church. Our
This
labor
next one
meant
is,
another block
for a
house would
minister
appear
that,
in a landscape of
we knew we
plastic
worked with
bag
in
shacks.
Nicaragua, building houses for
Your trademark
people
of simple
there.
stained
It's called
glass
Holy Week
offered a
in
window of hope.
Nicaragua for Father Bill Daniel, 1926
Only
to
12 months
2002.
later, a brick and a human
A
hand
year ago, we
has
were
been laid
shoveling
hard
sand
against
from the
your head,
riverbank into your
dividing
Kia
a
pickup
minister with
truck.
very little from a
Dry
neighbor
season
with no
flowers were in
reserve.
bloom. Processions
Rebirth is
formed outside
unlikely out
every
of
church.
such dust.
Our
Although you have
labor meant
surprised
another
us
block
before.
house would appear in a landscape of plastic bag shacks. Your trademark of simple stained glass
So
offered a
I guess
window of
these
hope.
next three are sort of influenced by my having lived in New
Only
Jersey
12
for the
months
last
later, a
10
brick
years,
and
I
a
guess,
human
sort of
hand has
suburban
been laid
highway
hard
poems.
against your head,
Um,
dividing a
This
minister
one's
with
called
very little
Locomotion.
from a neighbor with no
A
reserves.
friend rides in the front seat,
Rebirth is
watching
unlikely
for
out of
oncoming
such dust,
hazards, while the back
although
seat
you
is
have
full of
surprised
old
us
tires
before.
that are impossible to cast out. We pull over for directions since none of our maps are local. In the shortest trip
So, I
home,
guess these
we
next
find
three
them
are sort of
likely places
influenced
to
by
stop.
my having lived in New Jersey for the last
Finally, knowing the
10
way to
years,
go
I
is
guess,
always
sort
the
of
biggest relief.
suburban highway poems.
We missed the first exit, but it seems there's
This
still
one's
another
called
way to turn
Locomotion.
off. Just
A
get
friend
into the
rides in the
car
front
before I
seat,
lose my grip on the road.
watching for oncoming hazards, while the back seat is full of old tires
This one's
that are
called
impossible to
Contentment.
cast out.
Settle
We
down,
pull over
America.
for directions
Here's a good
since none
home
of our
for
maps
sale
are
with a
local.
two-car garage and a
In the
picnic
shortest
table.
trip home, you find
Your
the
family
likely
is
places to
happiest in the
stop.
suburbs, especially the dog after
Finally,
the time
knowing
he
the
got
way to
out.
go is always the biggest
Out of
relief.
luck and out of milk,
We
the
missed the
neighbors
first
need
exit,
counseling.
but it seems
But
there's
your
still
place is
another way to
secure.
turn off.
Patio
Just get into
stones
the
rest
car before I
solidly
lose
while
my
lawn
grip on the
chemicals
road.
keep up with insistent creeping Charlie. By
And this one's
mid-morning,
called
the kids are
Contentment.
deposited in school, the
Settle
traffic
down,
noise
America.
dulls,
Here's a
and the
good
mail
home for
comes.
sale with a two-car garage and a
Vacations are for
picnic
lonely
table.
wanderers who visit
Your
big
family
cities
is
needing to
happiest
buy
in the
souvenirs.
suburbs, especially the dog.
I'm not
after
sure
the
you
time
want
he
them
got
passing
out.
their cameras over for a
Out of
quick
luck
shot.
and out of milk,
You have
the
enough
neighbors
to
need
deal with.
counseling, but your place is secure. Patio stones rest solidly
This
while
one's called Heading
lawn
Home.
chemicals keep up with insistent creeping Charlie.
New
By
Jersey is
mid-morning,
a
the
place
kids are
that needs
deposited in
revival.
school, the traffic
Alone
noise
in the
dulls,
wilderness, I cry
and the mail
out, touch
comes.
these wounds and see. It's not
Vacations are
about
for
cars
lonely
and the
wanderers who
economy.
visit big
It's
cities
about
needing
easy
to buy
travel and the
souvenirs.
hard road.
I'm not sure you
It's about
want them
finding the
passing
missing
their
pieces
cameras
of your
over
old
for a group
soul.
shot. You have
Once
enough to
these
deal
words
with.
are edited, they will be understood. Now they are remote like the Pine Barren.
This one's
The
called
turnpike
Heading
is not the
Home.
crusade. Carnage, of course, but nothing
New
that shocks
Jersey
us
is a
into
place that
spiritual
needs
awakening.
revival. Alone in the wilderness, I cry out, touch these wounds and see.
Next
It's
two
not
are
about
just sort of
cars or the economy.
Nature related,
It's about
I guess.
easy
Glass
travel and the
Arbor.
hard road. It's about finding the missing pieces of your old soul.
I walked through sun-glazed
Once these words are
topiaries
edited,
where
they will
aloe
be
quills
understood.
and sugared
Now
lamb's
they are
ears
remote like the
shelter
Pine
a
Barren.
motionless Luna moth.
The turnpike is not the
A mourning
crusade.
dove worries along the gravel
Carnage, of
path in
course,
front of me.
but nothing that shocks
I
us into
recognize a
spiritual
weathered
awakening.
bucket and imagine mealybugs moving underneath. In this childhood garden,
story just
thrown
sort of
over with years of
Nature
inattention,
related, I guess.
a blue
Glass
hysteria
Arbor.
conjures up ancient burials, gleaming fountains.
I walk
Quietly,
through sun-glazed
recollection
topiaries
rocks
where
the
aloe
archway.
quills and sugared lamb's ears shelter a motionless Luna moth. A mourning
one's
dove
called
whirs
Sycamore
along the
in
gravel
Rain.
path in front of me. I recognize a weathered bucket and imagine mealybugs moving underneath.
The hide brightens,
In
yellow
this
bark
childhood
has
garden,
sheen,
thrown
a
over
value
with
of
years of
gold in the
inattention,
bare winter.
a blue hysteria
The glossy
conjures
veneer
up
we wish
ancient
for when
burials,
it's dry,
gleaming
so we chafe
fountains.
when it's wet.
Quietly,
Give us our
recollection
coins.
rocks the archway.
Exchange this gloom for treasure, some magic book brushed with water.
And this one's called Sycamore in the Rain.
And these next two are poems that I wrote when I was at work I have a really nice view
The
out
hive
the window of the
brightens,
campus. And
yellow bark has sheen,
actually
a
write a lot of my
belly of
poems on
gold
it.
in the bare winter. The glossy veneer we wish for when it's dry, though we chafe when it's wet.
This one's called Dark
Give us our
Weather.
coins. Exchange this
Under
gloom
low
for
clouds,
treasure.
there's a sharp breeze.
Some magic
Campus
books
becomes
brushed
quicker
with
on
water.
its feet. Shade trees, standing for decades, bend doubtfully,
Next
wondering
to
when did the
poems that
universe
I wrote
begin.
when I was at work.
Science
Really
labs
nice,
glow
view
more
out the window
yellow.
of the campus.
Reports
And,
progressed after lingering all week.
I write a lot of my poems on at work.
Fossil findings sift through data, calculating dinosaur advantages. Ever so softly, it
This one's
begins
called
to
Dark
rain.
Weather.
Black umbrellas rise up, their
Under
ribs
low
going
clouds is a
haywire.
sharp breeze. Campus becomes
Visitors
quicker
are
on its
tagged
feet.
and welcomed into stone
Shade
passageways.
trees standing for
Yesterday's
decades
coffee
bend
cups have been
doubtfully,
cleared.
wondering when did the universe
Damp
begin.
sound to keyboards and
Science
phones
labs glow
distract
more
music
yellow.
theorists from their
Reports
intervals.
progress after lingering all
Thunder,
week.
or the rumbling of a
Fossil
superconductor,
finders sift through
identifies
data,
the shifting
calculating
performance.
dinosaur advantages.
The shuttle bus whiskers
Ever so
past on the
softly, it
roadway,
begins to rain.
delivering
Black
reinforcements.
umbrellas rise up, their ribs gone haywire.
And this
Visitors
one,
are
I've been
tagged
working on
and
this
welcomed
butterfly
into
guide
stone
for over a year
passageways.
now.
Yesterday's coffee cups have been cleared.
It's called Butterfly Proof.
A damp sound to
Shocking
keyboards and
color
phones
arrives from
distracts
Italy.
the music theorists from their
800
intervals.
butterflies on paper.
Thunder, or the
Already
rumbling
cropped
of
and
a
silhouetted,
superconductor,
only ink
identifies
to
a
speak of their
shifting
flight.
performance.
Photos
The
to
shuttle
save them
bus
from being
whiskers
pinned.
past on the roadway,
Now to
delivering
check each
reinforcements.
spot and streak outside is a day meant for wings.
And this one, I've been working on this butterfly guide for over a year now.
I have
Called Butterfly Proof.
I have 3 family
Shocking
poems,
color
and I'm going
arrives
to
from
close
Italy.
with the evening
800
poem.
butterflies on
And
paper.
the first 2
Already
I wrote
cracked
on the
and
occasion of
silhouetted,
first my father's
only
80th
ink to
birthday,
speak
and
of
then a
the
year
flight.
later, or 2 years later, my mother's
Photos
80th
save
birthday.
them from being pinned.
One's for my father,
Now
and
to
bless
check
him.
each spot and street.
One has to live a long time
Outside
to
is a
reach
day
80.
meant for
Enough
wings.
days to go around the world. You could have kept us kids down on the farm, but you wanted a lot more.
I have
The
3
slate gray
family
skies of
poems, and I'm
Rochester
gonna
covered
close
with
with
brightest bloom.
Evening poem. And
Out beyond the yard, there are
first
buildings
2
going
I
up.
wrote on the occasion of
With
first
so
my
many of us,
father's
there was
80th
no room to
birthday, and then
complain.
a year later, or 2 years later, my mother's
Now
80th
we've
birthday.
rounded up our riches and found our
My
way
father,
home,
blessing.
hoping to satisfy a severe
One
God.
has to live a long time to reach
None are
80.
dead, none are
Enough days to
missing.
go around
We're
the
holding
world.
on for dear life,
You could have
and
kept
looking
us
back
kids
to
down
see what
on the
fell
farm, but you
because
wanted
we
a
used to
lot
ride
more.
with the windows rolled down.
The slate gray skies of Rochester.
I'm here to feel
covered
the
with
strength
brightest
of the
blooms.
tribe. We went to
Out
all these
beyond the yard,
years
there are
after
buildings
years
going up.
after all this
With
trouble,
so many of us,
after
there was
years
no
of
room to
taking orders,
complain.
only to realize
Now
we
we've
had the
rounded
best
up our
father we could
riches
manage.
and found our way home, hoping to satisfy a severe God.
And this one's for my mom.
None are dead,
Called
none are
maternal
missing.
instinct.
We're holding on for dear life and looking
Not
back
a mother
to
who
see
drove
what
us
fell
to
out,
things,
because we used
didn't
to ride
like
with the
driving
windows
for
rolled
other
down.
moms. But in the
I'm here
backyard,
to feel the strength
she
of the
neglected her
tribe.
clothesline to play
We
with
went
us.
to all this years after
Joe
years
was steady when she
after
married
all this
him.
trouble,
7
after
kids
years
later,
of
he is still
taking
solid.
orders, only to realize
Her dreams
we
were
had the best
artistic,
father we could
not
manage.
caught up in soap operas. She was creating a new breed with
This one's
crayons,
Mama.
storybooks,
Called
and
maternal
blind faith.
instinct.
We tried hard to
Not a
satisfy
mother who
for
drove us to
rovers,
things,
bakers, and
didn't like
whiners,
driving,
scholars,
or
and
moms.
volunteers.
But in the
On
backyard,
Sundays, we went to
she
Mass and
neglected
then
her
for candy.
clothesline to play with us.
She kept her eye
Joe
on the
was
kitchen
steady when
clock,
she married him.
telling us the
7
time
kids later,
or
he's
teaching
still
us to tell
solid.
it.
Her
Smell the
dreams were
pines,
artistic,
she'd insist,
not
when we
caught
were
up in
bundled on a
soap
walk.
operas.
It
She
pierces
was
me
creating
now
a new
like
breed
no other
with
advice.
crayons, storybooks, and blind faith. We tried hard to satisfy
And this
for
one's called Little
rovers,
Knitted
bakers,
Sister.
and whiners, scholars, and
The
volunteers.
Nitwits are like these little
On
stuffed dolls
Sundays, we
we
went
played
to
with when we
Mass
were
and
little.
then for candy.
Little
She
Knitted
kept
Sister.
her
The
eye on the
Nitwits were a
kitchen clock,
family.
telling
Green
us the
father,
time, or
blue
teaching us
mother,
to tell
pink
it.
and yellow children,
Smell the
yarn
pines,
top
she'd
heads.
insist when we were bundled
The
on a
youngest
walk.
child was good.
It
She
pierces
did
me
what she
now
was
like
told.
no other advice.
Got thrown across the playroom and bounced right back. The stuffed parents were
And this one's called Little
nonchalant.
Knitted
They'd go to the
Sister.
seashore with little sister locked in the toy
The
cupboard.
Nitwits are like these little stuffed
Once
dolls
the
we
dog
play
got
with.
her and left her very worn down.
Little Knitted Sister.
She spent the rest
Nitwits
of the
were a
week
family.
lying in the yard.
Green father, blue mother,
The yellow
pink
brother was
and yellow
okay.
children,
He squashed
yarn
her
top
almost
heads.
inside out, but
The
then
youngest
let her wear
child was
his cowboy
good.
vest.
She did what she was told.
Nowadays,
Got
plastic
thrown across
fashion
the
models
playroom
don't
and
have
bounced right
families.
back.
The knitted sister was
The
lucky
stuffed
to grow
parents
up
were
back then.
nonchalant. they'd go to the seashore with little sister locked in the toy cupboard. Once the dog got her
One
and
more
left
here.
her very
It's
worn
called
down.
Turning the
She
Bed
spent the
Down.
rest of the week lying in the
A
yard.
daily chore presages the
The
night.
yellow brother was okay.
Take a perfectly
He squashed her
well-made
almost
bed,
inside out,
fold back the
but
top.
then let her wear his
A
cowboy vest.
courtesy and a welcome.
Nowadays,
An
plastic fashion
old-fashioned,
models don't have
busy-making sign
families.
of passion.
The knitted sister was lucky
How
to
did
grow
I end up
back then.
with a grandma and a boyfriend, both so inclined?
One more that's just called Turning the Bed Down.
Thanks.
A daily chore persuades the night. Take a perfectly well-made bed, fold back the top. A courtesy
So we'll just
and
take like a
welcome.
quick 5-minute break
An
and then Michael will be up.
old-fashioned
I'm just going to do one short poem from Cool Women, Volume 1. And I thank you for being at Cool Girls earlier tonight. I don't know your name, but I know you were. You were at Cool Girls earlier. We had the joy of hearing the girls we've been mentoring give their first public reading tonight at the Y. It was really worth everything. Solstice Rituals. The fox began it, that long-legged adolescent who appeared to my song in the time of beach plums and first frosts. But now it is snowing, and the ruddy one curves, half cat, half pup, about my calves to tug me to the cave. Its floors fur-lined, warmth like flames reflecting on his pelt, those snappy eyes, the glistening nose. His long, lush tail curls across my eyes as I recline, unclothed, to puzzle at the rustle of arrival. I kneel, then sit back on my heels, to face you as the gods have always planned. The fox twines round your hips, stares with sweet command into my startled gaze.
This is sort of a panoramic view of the female values from the primitive felines through the 19th century working and genteel conditions to the present time. Bad Walter on the advertised female takeover. You speak of Tabby's soft patches, and not of Tabby's mean streak. She prowls backyards and bushes, pounces on field mice and squirrels. Off guard under the bird feeder, she goes for the throat, a terrible silence, a broken neck, a limp body hanging from her mouth. She walks daintily into the bushes, her domesticated mouth tears at raw squirrel. Can she be happy? She's somebody's pet. Working girls cramp up over sewing machines cut to one pattern by the crimping shears of commerce. Victorian ladies grip the arms of parlor chairs with the soft, nailless fingers of declawed kittens. But now, girls, beautiful bodies, make poetry of basketball. All boys kick dirt at second base, spitting and yelling. The world of the woman is a microcosm, a dream of frictionless functioning. Nothing disturbs, where raising children is the whole game. Where men are kept for heavy lifting, awkwardly domesticated into a female scheme of work and play and safety zones, whose green streets men will prowl, displaying mean streaks. Thank you.
My name is Bee Weldon, and that was my husband, the poet. I always say I'm not a poet, and I really believe that. However, I did write something, and I call it a poem. It's called Perfume. Ah, perfume, perfume, perfume. Has no size, has no color. She puts it on. He puts it on. And it fits. It fits. It always fits. Thank you.
Your generation. Children, in your generation, children were superfluous, expected to take care of themselves. A woman was condemned to live down her mistakes. In your youth, you walked with friends, talking and laughing on country roads, singing for a drink of water at houses of neighbors far apart. Somewhere that was lost, 2 babies in 2 years, a marriage broken, moving to the city for work enough to live. There was the time your father gave you such a look, you tripped into a patch of thorns, your life scarred and rusty from that day. There were no warning signs, no handbook or instructions, only someone with a mean look that cursed you when you fell. Thank you.
This is actually just a free writing that I did waking up from a dream that had some interesting things that painted in my mind. So it's called Hiding in My Tree. Day breaks, morning takes the energy of me and rushes within the outer skins of my entity, over the hills and through woods of green nocturnal skies. I find you hiding in my damn tree, to my surprise. And you are naked and unassured, but I dreamt us naked by the shore, where waves break and tiptoe to tickle toes, cool calves, and pulse our pulses, all the while looping over and under to string us up on invisible kite tails. They might melt away and we are standing upside down, hanging from clouds that rain, flashy purple, red, and fuchsia rays, and trip seagulls out, into thinking that the sand is nutritious to eat. And we laugh as we hang out as bats and practice echolocation and wonder if this magic will hold us long enough for revelation, or until the tick-tock telling tide. We know the fate of if it doesn't. We'll collide, head on, rolling down liquid steps, bowling into liquid hell, where crowns of sea anemones will latch onto our heads and throne us, the king and queen of seaweed. And we'll auditorily breathe, and our fingers will feed, for our mouths will be shown shut by the seahorses of servitude, shut with strands sliced from wished-on copper, flung by youthful hands of yesterday, now rusted like their once shiny offerings. Our toes will web and our flesh will slime, and we'll tell ocular tales with synchronous blinks and bats of lashes in time, down at the bottom of seaweed hell, if we miss the tidal time of today, while hanging from those mother clouds that spawn the purple, red, and fuchsia babes that discombobulate seagulls and hypnotize them to eat the sand. And we're still swaying, laughing, hand in hand in my dream where you are naked by the shore. But day broke, morning took, night stoked, and I find you are still hiding in my damn tree. Thanks.
I actually wrote this in response to the gang violence that is going on in Trenton. It's continuing to go on. Seems like every time
Slower and louder, please.
Slower and louder.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't even get started. It just seems that every time I turn on the news or read the newspaper, everything's the same except the ages of the children involved are younger and younger. So this is 2 birds with 1 stone. The response on the other line was a path to destruction. She slams down the phone in anger. What the hell do they know anyway? Damn psychic hotlines. The response on the other line was a path to destruction. The phone began to shake with fear as she anticipated the news that was to come. Little girl walks with her head down. Little boy walks with his head down, both kicking a stone around. Two birds with one stone. And across the street, there he was, a path to destruction, finishing the last of his 40-ounce. All day of inhaling poisons to the sound of car horn noises. Now, I can understand the need for family, but it's just sad. His relatives marked with stovetop hanger welts and tattoos. You see, colors be his only family tree, with a violent initiation fee. A lost young man, so many lost young men. A bad childhood, maybe from where it had stemmed, but deep down inside, I bet you they're all gems. But it's a hot summer day, and destruction is sweating beads of revenge. Now, Steele's stomach rumbles and is fed with clips. Support is called upon. 4 deep in the car, just as night falls, destruction looks up at the sky and sees a shooting star as he wishes upon the outcome of his own star shooting. Uzi and Glock barrel pointing, a meteor shower. Targets standing oblivious on their porch that night, oblivious like last week's miscalculated victim of innocence and pigtails. Darkened headlights and creeping brake lights, the gory, deafening scene that ensued, I will spare you the dramatic details. But inside an adjacent kitchen, a phone falls to the ground. Are you still there, ma'am? Ma'am, are you still there? I didn't mean to upset you. You see, bullets stray streaking through airwaves that miss their targets must stop somewhere. This week's miscalculated victim, like last week's pigtails and innocence, she lays there bleeding to death, regretting ever making that phone call. She lays there bleeding to death, regretting ever staying on that line. They lay there bleeding to death, regretting ever making that phone call. They lay there bleeding to death, regretting ever staying on that line. 8 months down and just 1 to go. She only wanted to be a mother. So destruction. Let me ask you, are you proud of yourself now? Now that you've killed 2 birds with 1 stone? Are you any more of a man now that you've killed 2 birds with 1 stone? Thank you.
This poem takes place in California, in the High Sierra. It seems like the more beautiful a natural place is, the more people flock there, and subsequently the less beautiful it is. This is called In Yosemite Valley. In the morning, lug the cook stuff up above the black oak shade to the wall of white granite heat. Alligator lizards in the grass. Unpack and get the stove going. Down in the valley, cook fire smoke, tree spires, car doors and cook pans, children howling, more wonderful than coyotes. Hummingbird skims in and swipes off up the cliff. Coffee begins to boil. Scan the swoop of slope above. 1 chunk of cliff could give me a climber's death, rock and blood and bone. Spit out a mouthful of grounds. Sight binoculars across the valley smoke. Tenaya Canyon, not recommended for hiking due to hazardous conditions. Pour out another cup. A lizard skitters off, and grasshoppers go clack clack in the sun. Conversations drift up from the campground below, the sound of thousands waking. A tiny climber hangs on royal arches by a neon thread. Last night, she was a solitary light stuck up on the dark valley wall. 2 days and 1,800 vertical feet. A quiet place to sleep. Somebody's car alarm cuts through the morning air down there. Up here, hot black coffee, bright white sun.
Michael, thank you for your kind words from before. This poem is titled Christmas in America, 1540. It was a quiet snow, a ceaseless feather dusting that has buried me alive 10 nights in a row now. We huddle with horses for warmth. We don't light the fire for fear of a slaughter. We dreamed of gold and silver and glory, of rivers coursing, with riches. In July, my general, Francisco Vasquez de Coronado, found Huica, first of the famed 7 cities of Cibola. The crowded, crumpled village contained 200 savages in houses 3-4 stories high, facing a central courtyard and a giant subterranean hall and a trap door, small hearth at center. We searched it all, even the twigs in the hearth. No gold. Now we dream of food and warmth and shelter. When the snow buries, it blocks the wild wind. Though it falls on our baggage, covers half a man's height, its weight does no damage. Should anyone come suddenly in night, all they'd see is snow, our army of 300 hidden below. I have heard rumors Francisco Vasquez intends to insist that the savages supply us with cloth. I think of those we met at the great rock of Acuco, who offered birds and provisions without our even asking. The general will give the order. The gentlemen will carry it out. These are no gentlemen. Like a gentle wind, like a sudden wind that turns gentle snow to blinding blizzard, I fear their order, fear their words will whip the winds of change and turn upon us unfavorably. But tonight, there is peace on earth. We have gathered the junipers and pines, built a bona fide bonfire strong enough to melt snow 2 to 4 yards away. If I have counted right, this is the night of our Savior's birth. A low canopy of stars luminesces the snow, and I feel his presence tonight, amid this blazing juniper and pine, in this strange, goldless, yet glorious land. Thank you very much.
My name's Arlene Wiener. I'll read 2, I think, short poems. The first one is really inspired by Claude Lévi-Strauss, and it's called Tropical Wedding. The Bororo say, a woman wed a tapir. He could show her the wide world. He bedded her in the forest, grunting and rooting. It was wonderful. She visited her family at Thanksgiving. He'd gone hunting to be sure of getting his deer. When they saw their girl covered with ticks, her mother tried to pull off a fat one. Daughter turned away. That is one of my husband's pearls. Okay, and another kind of myth. In this I'm mythologizing my parents, but they really were very nice people. And actually, my mother is still a very nice person. The Magician's Daughter. In Inwood, near the Speedway where the projects are, a carnival would come when reeds grew green. The earliest illusion, the cup and ball, for a New York girl greener than reeds. He put me up her sleeve like a red silk scarf. For years I watched her wash out his high hat's lining, the feathers and blood.
Tonight, and I think we're back here January 22nd, maybe 19th. Harvey and Jane. It'll be announced. All right, thanks. Oh, Jane McKinley.